In any big company, there's this old saying, you can't govern what you can't see. Well, today, we're going to fix that. We're doing a step-by-step guide to connecting two incredibly powerful tools, SailPoint and Okta, to get your entire application landscape right into focus.
Let me ask you a question. It sounds simple, but do you know every single app your employees are using? If you're in a big organization, the honest answer is probably, not really, right? Between the official apps, all the team subscriptions, and that dreaded shadow IT, application sprawl is a massive challenge. And that's the thing, you can't govern what you can't see. This is exactly why getting these two systems talking is so critical.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the why. Then, the what this SailPoint Okta connector is all about. We'll cover what you need to do to prepare, and then we'll walk through the two different ways you can make this connection happen. And finally, we'll talk about what you do once it's all set up. Let's jump in.
All right, so first up, why are we even doing this? The subtitle here really nails it. It's all about moving from chaos to control. The whole point is to get a complete, accurate inventory so you can finally focus your energy where it's actually going to make a difference.
And look, this connection gives you so much more than just a long list of app names. It gives you visibility into three absolutely crucial things: a full inventory of everything that's out there, clear ownership so you know who's responsible for what, and real usage data. That's the good stuff. Who's actually using these tools? This is the kind of insight you need to make smart, strategic security decisions.
So how do we make this happen? That brings us to Section 2, the connection itself. I really like this analogy. Think of the SailPoint Okta SSO Discovery Connector as your own automated digital auditor. It's this tool that just works tirelessly in the background, constantly taking inventory of your app landscape for you.
And what I love is how focused it is. It really only does two main things. First, you can test the connection, which just makes sure SailPoint and Okta can see each other and are communicating properly. And second, its whole reason for being, to discover applications. And the key here is that it's not a one-and-done deal. It's a continuous process. You get a live, ongoing feed of your entire app environment.
Okay, let's move on to Section 3, preparing for the connection. Think of this as your pre-flight checklist. Before we get into the how-to, we got to make sure we have all the right pieces in place for a really smooth takeoff. And this is probably the single most important prerequisite. You absolutely need the right level of access in Okta. See, the connection can only discover what the account that sets it up is allowed to see. So you'll need an account with superadmin, org admin, or group admin privileges. The API permissions are inherited from that user. So if you don't have admin access, you're not going to see anything.
So this brings you to your first big choice. How are you going to authenticate? You've got two main paths you can go down. The first one, the API token, is user-based. It's generally a little simpler and faster to set up. The second path, OAuth 2.0, is application-based. This one gives you much more granular control because the permissions are tied to a dedicated service app, not a person. We're going to walk through both.
All right, let's tackle Path 1, using an API token. This is your straightforward, user-based method for getting this done.
For this one, everything happens right inside your Okta admin console. So you'll sign in with that admin account we just talked about, and you're going to navigate to Security, then API, then Tokens. From there, you just select Create Token, give it a name that makes sense, like SailPoint Discovery, and, this is super important, copy that token value immediately and put it somewhere safe, like a password manager, because you will only see it one time.
And here's a little pro tip, something straight from the documentation that could save you a huge headache down the road. That API token, it automatically refreshes itself every time it's used. But if that connection is dormant and the token doesn't get used for 30 straight days, it's going to expire. So just keep that in the back of your mind to avoid any future troubleshooting.
Okay, so what if the API token method isn't for you? Let's talk about path number 2, OAuth 2.0. This is the application-based method, and it's perfect for when you really need that more granular security and control.
Now, the flow here is a bit different. Instead of just grabbing a token that's tied to a user, you're actually going to create a dedicated service application right inside of Okta. Then, you grant that new app the specific permissions, they're called OAuth scopes, that it needs to read your application data. And finally, you take the client ID and secret from that service app and use those details to configure the source backend in SailPoint. All right, so we've walked through the prep work and we've covered the two different ways to get connected. That brings us to our final section, your governance starting line. So the question is, what's next?
And this is the really cool part. You haven't just pulled a one-time report. By setting all of this up, you have enabled continuous application discovery. You now have an automated, always up-to-date inventory of your Okta-managed apps, and it's feeding directly into SailPoint. That visibility, that foundation, is everything for an effective identity governance program.
You know, this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The technical setup, that's just the beginning. The real strategic work starts right now. With this complete, continuous view, you can finally start prioritizing. You can find those critical apps with no owner, you can spot redundant software, and you can start managing access in an intelligent way. So as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this one thought. Now that you can see everything, what are you going to govern first?